Hello everyone. So Donald Trump has got COVID. Who would have thunk it? Let's go through some things. Now, if you watched my last video and got through all of the rambling and me being silly, you would have, and the video before or whenever I did it, you'll know that I said that things are coming to a halt. And then now look what's going on. Everything has stopped, from Suzanne's case to every case. And now, essentially the White House is like, what the hell are we going to do? Donald Trump has COVID. Okay, I'm going to get out the charts, the old rulership book. Pull out my book. See what's going on today. See, I know where the planets are. If you watch my last video, you'll know where everything is because I showed you the ephemeris. The most interesting thing to note about all of this, when Saturn and Pluto went conjunct at the beginning of the year, or actually a little bit before that, when it started getting close, COVID came about. Okay, the world went into chaos and fear. That was Saturn and Pluto, but predominantly Saturn. Saturn has kicked up a notch this year. Holy crap, is he kicking our pants. So, Saturn came around at that point in time with COVID. The irony that Saturn has now, just today, finished the station and gone direct. And it's going to move out of Capricorn and through Aquarius and off. Amazing, absolutely amazing timing. And I can't help it, but I'm led to believe that Donald Trump has an astrologer, and I think he's a damn good one. Because I think if Donald Trump doesn't have COVID, I'm not saying if he does or doesn't, and if he does, I hope he gets better. You know, I don't wish anybody to be ill or anything, but I've got a feeling that perhaps the timing of this is so impeccable that he has advisors that tell him when to disappear. So you are going to hear so much crap. You're going to hear lies upon lies upon lies. You're not going to know what to believe. It's unexpected what's going to happen. Okay, just don't even assume that you know what's going to happen at the end of it. So my advice is to maybe don't say anything too much on Facebook, because you're going to, or Instagram or social media. People will make fools of themselves thinking that they know what's going on when they don't. Immediately I thought, oh, okay, I think I know what's going on. Popped it on my page on Facebook, and the amount of points of views already on what this is after 1 hour, to me it's just very interesting to watch. I want to see what's going on. I knew that something was going to be happening around this time. I knew everything would come to some type of grinding halt. It was quite unexpected, but really thinking about it, I should have known. All of us astrologers, in hindsight, it's so much easier, but if we'd have looked at the beginning at his chart, Donald Trump, and his wife's, and at the end of the year, we would have seen this. And if we'd have put it together, COVID with Saturn, and then the Saturn change in direction and the election and everything. So, my puppy's thirsty. She's picking up her water bowl. Alright, Smudgy. Yeah, so maybe reserve all judgment, because I can tell you right now, we're going to be really surprised at the outcome. And I don't know if I could get any more surprised, to be honest, so I think I'll just keep a level head with it all. It's so fascinating for me to watch this happen. I've probably talked about it before, I don't know, but I wrote a paper in 2001, just after 9/11, on Saturn and Pluto and what may happen, and I've been expecting this transit for so long that I'm surprised each time something happens, that it actually happens. I think it's the same no matter how long you've been an astrologer. When you do charts, I've been an astrologer for nearly 30 years. I've done thousands of charts, and every one of them still surprise me. In hindsight, I learned something even way more interesting, and that's just like today's lesson. I knew that Saturn was coming up to it. We've all been waiting for this period of time, and Mars is squaring Saturn on top of that in Aries. It's a really testing time. But I haven't seen a single person say that Donald Trump's going to get COVID at this point in time. A lot of people, though, including myself, knew that something would happen at this time. So the fact that it's COVID is like, wow, what a turn. So what's it going to do? How is it going to hold up things? And a lot of people are going to go, well, it's only 2 weeks isolation, it's not going to hold up anything. That could be the case, but we need to hear what's being said about it. So, if he goes into isolation, comes out and says it was perfectly great, had no symptoms, don't be scared of COVID. People have tactics. That's what I'm getting at. I don't know Mr. Trump, and I don't know what he's like. I know his chart, and I know the chart for the elections and for authority in the world at given times through event astrology. But the timing of this is not only odd in terms of the election, but the coinciding of Saturn in Capricorn and being the very end result of this entire shit-filled year is fascinating. Now we're going to see so much media crap. Oh my God, you're going to be inundated with lies and inundated with media, and you're going to get so annoyed. Don't take it out on each other. Don't worry about it, because in the end, what will be will be. We're not going to see what's coming. I don't think either of those two people are going to be president, and if it is him, something else is going to happen. Who knows? There's so many things going on in the sky at the moment, so let's have a look. Here's Donald Trump's tweet 5 hours ago. Tonight, the First Lady and I tested positive for COVID-19. We will begin our quarantine and recovery process immediately. We will get through this together. If Donald Trump does have COVID, then pretty sure Joe Biden will have as well, so I can imagine that that's going to be something that we'll hear about pretty soon. Okay, so here we have our time that we're going to have a look at, 2:54 p.m. on the 2nd of October. I'm going to make a chart for that right now. For those just listening, this is from Donald Trump's own tweet. So I'm going to erect a chart for 2:54 p.m. October the 2nd at the White House. I have myself a bunch of charts. We're delving into politics. Finally, I know a lot of people don't want to hear about politics and prefer the true crime, but I think it's probably important to talk about this at this time. So what I have up on the page at the moment, and you don't have to look, it's okay, is just some notes that I've taken. There's certain things that we want to look for, and the thing I want to sort of show you is around the bottom here, the rulership of presidents themselves. The rulership of a president is the 10th house, the Sun, Leo, Uranus, Mars and Neptune also is important in it too. So I think before we have a look at anything else, let's have a look at Donald Trump's chart and Joe Biden's chart and see about their natal chart and see how they look as a president in general. Then we're going to have a look at their progressed charts at the moment to see now how they look as a president. Okay, so initially we've got Donald Trump's chart. I'll zoom in and go down here. This is his birth chart, 14th of June 1946, 10:54 a.m. And then on the outside I've actually put the Twitter post he posted at 2:54. These are the transits on the outside, but at the moment let's just have a look on the inside here and the house cusps. So we're looking at this here, and then these ones down this bottom here, not the red planets on the outside. So just in terms of presidential material and rulerships, let's have a look. If you recall, let's just grab it back up here. The 10th house, the Sun, Leo, Uranus, Mars and Neptune are important in presidency, or represent the president. The Sun here for Donald Trump is at 22 degrees of Gemini in the 10th house. So there we have the Sun and the 10th house. That's two things. Uranus is conjunct the Sun. I don't think personally it's the best thing at all, being in Gemini, because it means that he just says whatever he thinks. But that's another thing. Leo. His ascendant is 29 degrees of Leo. The highest point of Leo you can get. There's another thing. Mars is in Leo, but Mars isn't in a very good position. I'm not giving that one to him at all. Pluto is in the 12th house. That's really not the best spot for a presidential Pluto. Neptune is the other one, and Neptune in his chart is in the 2nd house. Neptune in the 2nd house is usually not great for money. So although this man has always had loads and loads of money, Neptune in the 2nd house is like having a hole in your pocket. You'll just spend and spend and spend. Anyway, regardless. So this, according to the rulerships only, he has sort of like 4 points out of 6. So let's have a quick look at Biden. Okay, old Joe is a Scorpion Sun. I didn't even know that. He has a 0-degree moon in Taurus. He's got a lot of 12th house stuff. You know, when you see this, oops-a-daisy. When you see this here, someone's got a fair amount of issues. Now, I'm not saying that everybody in the 12th with planets in the 12th house have heaps of issues, but there's things that happen in the past to them. There's things that they have to keep secret. There's a lot of things that go on that will not get told about. So there's things about Joe Biden, and I don't know the man. I don't know anything about him. I don't read about him. This is purely from a chart perspective. I've never looked at his chart before, but seeing this shows me that he's actually got some skeletons in his closet. Okay, so we're looking for the Sun, which is in Scorpio, which is in the 12th house, really not that presidential Sun. The 10th house is in Virgo. He has Neptune in there. Now, maybe that's good for being able to pull the wool over people's eyes or something like that. But Neptune in the 10th house is not really very appealing. Uranus is the other one, and that is actually conjunct the 7th house and conjunct Saturn, which is retrograde in his chart in Gemini. So that means that in business he is unexpected. He will come up with something, you know, people might assume that they think they know what he will do, but he won't do that. So I think we'd be surprised if he got in. Everyone would be going, huh? What? Like, so, you know, it wouldn't feel right. Now, Leo in his chart is here on the 9th house. He's got Pluto in Leo, Chiron at late degrees of Leo. You know, this, unfortunately for him, I suppose, these red ones are Donald Trump on the outside, by the way. I was looking at a whole bunch of them. Joe Biden has not got presidential planets. He just doesn't. Now, that's, like I said, it's not my opinion. I'm not saying that Donald Trump should be president and Joe Biden shouldn't. All I'm saying is that Joe Biden does not have planets that represent presidential material, and Donald Trump does. Weirdly. Okay, now just let's quickly jump into this COVID. What's going to happen? Why did it happen now? And is Joe Biden going to get COVID? Okay, this is the chart itself for when Donald Trump tweeted that he was positive for COVID, at him and his wife. So this is the exact positions at that time. Capricorn was rising, so that's him. He's telling everybody. And Saturn is doing that thing that I've been talking about for ages. It's in the first house. So that's him right there. Now, what I do see is Jupiter is right there in front of Pluto. Pluto is viruses. COVID is ruled by Pluto. So this Jupiter in front, which is a benefit, which is beneficial, is probably means that he's going to be fine in regard to the COVID. Illness is this area here, the 6th house. Now that 6th house is Gemini, and let's get the degrees. 25 degrees Gemini, and the 5th house is also Gemini, so it means he's got an interception when it happened with Aquarius and with Leo. Okay, let's keep going forward. Mars is squaring Saturn still at 24 and 25 degrees, and Mars is contagious viruses, so it's a possibility that he has contracted COVID. It is a possibility. The timing of it to me is just so strange, but still. Now, is it going to kill him? I think that's probably a question that a lot of people are going to ask. Is he going to be okay? Let's have a look at some things and see what's going on. This chart's not going to tell us too much. What I'm going to look at is his chart in comparison to this chart here. So this is Donald Trump's chart on the inside, and then the COVID tweet on the outside, which is the transits at the moment. So what's going on transit wise, and does he have COVID? Now his 6th house is here. His 6th house is this one right here. Okay, now this is transiting Saturn, the one that I keep talking about all the time, the one that's responsible for everything and that represents authority and rulers and COVID, not the virus itself, that's Pluto, but fear that COVID represented are these two. Now in his natal chart, his 6th house is opposite the 12th here, so it's at 1 degree of Aquarius. So I'm going to just get rid of that. So this line here is 1 degree of the old wavy line, Aquarius. That's his health line. Saturn here is at 25 degrees of Capricorn, so it only has 5 and a bit more degrees to move to get into the 6th house. Now Saturn has gone direct, so it's going to start moving faster. Now it's at 1 degree, so I'll tell you right now when that will be. It was in my previous astrology, and it coincides with the apparent great awakening of Jupiter and Saturn, the conjunction of those two at the end of December. So in around the 15th to the 20th of December, Saturn, which is death as well as chronic illness, will be in Donald Trump's 6th house of health. That's not great. It makes me wonder whether somebody's actually told him this. A lot of presidential people, royals, and all sorts of people use astrologers, believe it or not. To me, it's almost like the timing is so impeccable it's not funny. So COVID doesn't discriminate, I know that, and it's very possible that he has it. So that's his Saturn there being in that 6th house is not ideal. Now, Venus at the time of the Twitter was right on his ascendant. So Venus was right on his ascendant at 29 degrees of Leo. I'm assuming that they would have taken his temperature to start with, and that would have triggered the fact that there was something going on. So I would say that he's got a fever. That's just one thing that I can say off the cuff, I suppose. The other thing is this Mars and Moon in Aries, when he got it, and him and his wife got it. That's not great. You don't really want to get an illness like that when Mars or the Moon, and especially when Mars is squaring Saturn like it is. So if we imagine that there was a line there to this transiting Saturn here, and that's 90 degrees apart, there's infection in this chronic illness or inflammation. So I don't know how that works in terms of COVID. Well, I do know how it works in terms of COVID. It's not being able to breathe, etc. But the fever is represented by Mars. Mars always represents a fever. And Saturn is always something that's long and chronic and hard to figure out as well. Another thing is that Neptune is at the midpoint of these two. There. And Neptune is not great either for this instance. It adds more fluid if fluid is around. It adds more severe infection. It can add an intolerance to drugs, or too many drugs. So either he does have COVID and they both have COVID, or he's had to get the hell out of the public eye because something was going to happen to him, and he knew it. The IC, so the midheaven, what the public sees at the time of the Twitter, Uranus was conjunct in Taurus. Uranus is sudden, unexpected events, so that shows us that he told the public something that they were not expecting to hear at that point in time. I've got Trump's progressions. Just grab my pen again. Why doesn't it stick on the same thing all the time? That's really annoying. Okay, so this is his progressions, which is another method of forecasting for today's date. So this is basically like a new natal chart for Donald Trump today, and for this year, in fact. So it won't move quickly. It'll stay like this for a long time. Now, what's interesting to me is all of this, as I said before about Joe Biden. Look at all of this stuff in the 12th house of the hidden, secretive side. We've got Neptune, Mars, Chiron, Venus, and Jupiter, all hidden in this 12th house. I don't like it, and it looks too secretive. It's making, see the blue line up here, whoops, the the ones at the end are making a trine, which is 120 degrees, to Uranus at 21 degrees of Gemini, in the 8th house of death as well, mind you. Unexpected events leading to one's demise can definitely be looked at this way, but also unexpected events because of secrets being kept. Now, I'm not saying I know what they are, or I'm not doing any conspiracy things. Honestly, I do not know. All I know is what I see astrologically, and that is that there's something that we don't know, and that's shown right here like this. Now, Saturn, which I always look at when we're looking at elections, presidents, and also this year, just in general, is conjunct his MC. Oops. For the public to see. So this gives him the air of authority that he requires. It's in Leo as well. It's arrogant, actually. It's a very arrogant position. But again, it's presidential. So unless something happens here around the 8th house of death and the illness, then presidentially, well, being in Leo in the 10th house, with the Sun in the 10th house and Pluto, go back to the beginning, all of those presidential areas are in the 10th house in his chart. So to me, if it goes the way that I don't think it will, because I think it's going to flip on its head and we're not going to know the outcome, but if it does go one of two ways, then I think Donald Trump's going to win, even just based on this. Because let's have a little quick look at Joe Biden's progressions. Okay, here's Joe Biden's progressions for the same day. Now, he has Saturn down here in Gemini, completely opposite to up there where Donald Trump had it, in the 3rd house, going to the 4th house of the end of the matter. So that doesn't look good. That's like, well, it's almost like walking into retirement. Well, it is walking into retirement. Now, his progressed ascendant and sun is in Aquarius, which shows why he's coming off as a little bit odd at the moment, well, according to certain people. Then he has a whole bunch of stuff here in Pisces. It's really not conducive to what you need. Not that Donald Trump is conducive to what you need at this point, but either, believe me. But there's also an inconjunct over here to Pluto in the 6th house, so his health doesn't look good either. In fact, to me it looks like he might contract COVID as well. If they have got COVID, he might get it. So I think we're probably going to hear that he too has it, is being tested for it, or he would be being tested for it. I'd say he has it, and it's really going to put everything into slow-mo, big time. More people are going to want to know about the state of Trump's health. Will he get through this COVID? Now, here's his progressions. And then on the outside is the tweet, the COVID. Okay? Now, it doesn't look great. Again, to be honest, it does not look great, because the end of the matter, so the final result, is 2 degrees of Aquarius. Remember, his 6th house was 1 degree of Aquarius, so Saturn is going to move over to there. Same timing as before. So by the end of December, Saturn will be in this 4th house here, and it's like the end of the matter. I mean, you just saw Joe Biden have Saturn there, although his Saturn was in here. This is transiting Saturn, conjunct the IC, conjunct the end of the matter. It's almost like retirement time for Trump as well. If not, he may be too sick to be able to continue with what he does. Now, another thing that doesn't look great is all of this in Aries in his progressed 6th house. Chiron, the moon, and Mars. So we've got fever, inflammation, infection, all different things. I mean, COVID is completely a whole bunch of planets. We've got airways, and there's the lungs and everything else like that. So I'm not going to go into everything because I'll go forever. But when we see a bunch of planets here in the 6th house of health, it's generally that something's going on with one's health. So it's no wonder that they found out that something like this was going on today with these ones here. So yeah, Saturn going across this IC, it's a real tricky one, because it's either, you know, he's sort of like going home, go big or go home, or that when Jupiter and Saturn come together at this point here, that is when we'll find out who wins, perhaps. So November's not going to be it, I know that. According to astrology, it would be closer to the beginning of December, if not to the 15th of December. I don't know whether that's possible, but yeah, that's what I get. Now, the Sun at the time today, when he told everybody, it's in that 12th house, conjunct all these progressed planets here, conjunct the secretive stuff. So what's the Sun shining a light on? The Sun is at 9 degrees, Neptune is at 7, Mars is at 11. So smack in the middle between those two, Neptune is lies and Mars is action and work. So is this a lie? I don't know. I'm just going to put it out there that it's a possibility that this is not the actual truth. Maybe he does have COVID and they do have COVID, but I do believe there's something else going on that we're going to find out again later. Now, I know I always say that, we're going to find out later, but we will. By the 20th of December, things are going to be a whole lot clearer. In terms of Donald Trump's health, I am not 100%, to be honest. I don't like the look of a lot of these transits. His progress chart is showing me that if he does harbour a lot of hidden stuff and rubbish and secrets and all that 12th house stuff, and being in Libra, you know, is he unbalanced? Is he unfair? It's not giving us a clear indication that he's fair. If they were in a different house with Libra, I'd say okay. If they were in the 10th house, I'd say great. He's showing the world all of these things. He's not lying. He can work hard. He likes women. He can earn money, whatever all these things represent. But they're in the 12th house of secrets and hidden things. So I don't believe that we're getting the truth. And whether that's about COVID or not, I don't know. But we just need to keep our ears and eyes open. Not to get too swept up in it, because it's all just Pisces and Neptune. All fake news. That's probably the two words that guy said that were the most accurate that I've ever heard. Fake news is abundant, and it will be now until the end of the year. So there's no point in killing each other over our opinions, because it's not going to mean anything, because we're all going to be surprised, even more surprised than we were today, to find out that Donald Trump has COVID. Okay, there's a lot more I could say, but I don't want to bore everybody to tears with it. If you do like it, then let me know, because I do political astrology. I can, and I have. I don't enjoy it particularly because it's just picking out of a few evils to me. If there were better choices, younger choices, and none of this 12th house rubbish going on both sides, it would make things make more sense, but at the moment we just have to make sense of it. And as my really good friend told me, people aren't prepared to suffer, and I think it's important to understand suffering, and getting through the suffering will get us over all of this. So pay less attention. Vote by all means, the way that you have to and the way that you can, but probably you can pretty much guarantee that it's not going to go the way you think it will, even if you do vote. But I'm going to say it again, please vote still. I'm not sure how you will, because I think the White House is going to go into a meltdown even more. But anyway, still vote. Okay guys, there's something that's being hidden. We'll find out more at the end of December. We'll find out more between then, but the truth will come at the end of December, probably the 20th. And and I just want to remind you as well that just as Saturn began COVID, Saturn seems to be finishing COVID. I know Donald Trump has got COVID, but over here in Australia, restrictions are being lifted, things are starting to move, so there's movement in the world again. So Saturn has been a bastard this year, but God bless him, love him. I'm not going to say that without saying that, because he is karmic as. He will reward everybody for their patience. So good night, God bless, and take care, and see you soon.